Hey you guys. Okay, I am going to be doing your Q&A video part 2. A few caveats. I do have the AC on to create some white noise because there's a lot going on around me. It's Ramadan right now, and so even if I film late, there's lots going on, so I've got that going on, and my laptop is sitting here with the questions, and sometimes it has a little fan that turns on, so if you hear different background noise, that's what's going on. Number 2, I'm going to be starting off where I left off. However, things have moved around a bit, questions have moved around, so I'm going to do my best not to repeat any questions, and I'm going to do my best to get through all the questions you guys have asked. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your patience and waiting for part 2. I was traveling in the US and I kind of wanted to wait till I was back to really dive into the second part. Okay, I'm going to be tapping and scratching on a few random things while I talk with you, including this label maker, because I did a short with it and you guys seem to really love the sound. So I've got a few items I might grab here and there. I will be tapping and scratching on a bit. The last thing is, you guys have got comments here and there about the lighting being too bright in some of my videos. So I'm trying a few things out. One of them, I took a lamp that was over here that was quite bright and I popped it down there with like a covering over it and just put my candle here. I don't know if that's going to make a difference because it sounds like it could be like a technical thing that's happening on some of your phones and not on others, so we'll try and figure that out. But if you're someone who did have it too bright, let me know if this helped. I turned some different lights down, trying to see if we could kind of remedy that, because it might, I don't know, there's much else I can do. So let's start there. Okay, here we go. We're starting with Marco's question. Marco is a huge supporter. Hi Marco, he's just supportive. Every video has a comment from Marco, so thank you Marco. Okay, after living on your own for a while and having your own place, would you ever go back to community living like before? The answer is yes, I definitely would. I love living in community so much. So I do like, I'm an introvert in a lot of ways, so I like my own space. So as long as I can get that, have, you know, a room to myself, a space to myself within a larger community, then I'm good. The next question is, okay, let me try to say this. Delaruyumi? Okay, do you still have the famous wooden table you used to do epic tracing and scratching videos with? Never thought I would miss a table. I may have already answered this in the other one. Forgive me if I repeat a few, because the question has moved around. But yes, I do still have the table, and I really wanted to make a video with it while I was in the US, but I got sick, and I was sick the entire time, and I did not get a chance. I'm so sorry. I had it set up and everything, but it did not happen. Okay, Jess, I don't think I answered your questions in the last one. So Jess Russo, maybe I did, because I feel like I talked directly to you, is that right? But you did ask a question that I couldn't answer at the time, so I'd love to know how you and your boyfriend met. So I wanted to actually talk to my boyfriend first before answering questions that included him, so that's why I didn't answer it in the last one. I had answered it and then thought I should probably ask him first. He is a Middle Eastern man, and it's just culturally things are very different. It's very simple though. We met through a mutual friend here in Egypt, and so it's not a very exciting story, but I just wanted to check with him, you know, mutual friend. And then I think I answered your other one. What is your sleep schedule like? I know you record a lot of videos during the night, so I'm curious what time you sleep, wake up. I did answer that, yeah. Okay. Next, Robin Green, is YouTube your full-time job? If not, what do you do and how does it work with your traveling? So yes, it actually is my full-time job. I don't think of YouTube as a job, but it is actually what I do, and I am somehow, at some way, I don't know, over time I actually make money doing it. I don't make a lot, but I also live quite simply, so it really works out. And because whenever I travel, I can just keep making videos for you guys wherever I go. So yeah, when I started the channel, I don't think it was probably 4 years before I actually could just make videos and live off of that. maybe even longer, maybe even 4.5 years before I could do that. Next question. What religion do you practice? I'm just wondering if you converted to Islam since living in Egypt. Good question. I am a follower of Jesus. You are correct that Islam is the primary religion in Egypt at this point in time. It has not always been the case over the years, but it is at the moment. Okay, next question is by Sleepy Time ASMR. Okay, I already answered that. What is your favourite Egyptian food? Gosh. Okay, it's a dish that's got eggplant, meat, tomato sauce, and you serve it with rice. It's got some kind of like chilies in it also. It's called masa'a. I don't say it very well, but that's the name of it. It's delicious. Okay, next is Tyler Peterson. What foods do you miss the most from the US? Any restaurants, chains, or simply ingredients that you can't seem to get in Egypt? Mexican food of all sorts. It's really hard to find here, and I miss it so much. It's my favourite. Number 2 question. I've always, the same person, Tyler. And by the way, thanks for being with me since 2018. You said that's really sweet. Wow. I've always admired how your positive outlook on things. If it's not too personal, have you ever had bouts with your mental health? And what's your best advice to keep yourself excited, fresh every day? Okay, well, thank you for saying that. But yes, I have shared before, but I deal with OCD, anxiety, a mixture of those two things that has been hell on earth for me, growing up and trying to figure out what in the world was going on. I continue to deal with it to this day, but I've shared many times too that about 5 years ago I finally got to see a psychiatrist and was put on Prozac, which has worked for my family. On one side of my family where we're all just nuts, we've all, somehow Prozac really helps for us. Higher doses of Prozac, because apparently higher doses of Prozac are really good for OCD. Lower doses are more for like anxiety and depression. For me, it's OCD, meaning thoughts spinning. It's not the kind of OCD where everything has to be clean and perfect. It's really in your mind, which then creates a lot of anxiety. And my heart goes out to all of you who've experienced something like this, because it is just terrifying in a way I can't even explain, and I am so sorry that you've experienced that. And so yes, I've experienced tons of stuff like that in my life. I also have Ativan, which is like it's helpful, like if you're about to maybe have a panic attack or you feel like you're going to, it's something you would use only if needed, whereas Prozac you use every day. Honestly, if you're talking about mental health stuff, I would say try to look into meeting with a psychiatrist and see if there's something that can help. But if it's not something that's like a medical issue, for me it's a lack of serotonin, and it's just maybe stress or not knowing your worth, self-doubt, pain from history and past and family, etc. That kind of stuff is quite different. I wouldn't necessarily call that mental health though, in terms of, let's quick categorize. So mental health I'm referring to and kind of answering to would be like a medical problem going on with the chemistry in your brain. Whereas if we're talking just like stress and things like that, different category. And yes, I experience those things too, but generally because this is so intense over here, when I have stress and stuff that's normal, I'm just like, yes, this is great. That's a regular day. So truthfully, I haven't dealt with the extreme OCD and anxiety that was just horrifying and terrifying every day for years, thank God. But it's been lots of years of learning tools of how to process life, how to process my thoughts turning. Sometimes I set a timer. for how long to think about something. I actually have a video that I'll recommend to you to go watch, because I give like, I don't know, 20 tips or something like that for anxiety stuff, including some OCD. So that was from a few years back. Maybe you can check it out, like 20 tips for anxiety, because otherwise I would just be answering that question forever, because it's such a big topic in my life. And in terms of the way you staying your excited fresh every day, honestly, that's just some I've said it in my last video, but like, bottom line is knowing the way that God loves me and what Jesus did on the cross to take away my sins, so I'm free, and I just can. It's just the sweetest gift ever, and it frees me, and it makes me have confidence, freedom, growth, peace. I mean, you name it, it's that. I have to give a lot of credit to God. That's it. And I'm super thankful for Prozac also. Hallelujah, Father. But yeah, that's it. Okay, next question is from Hannah Radke. I would love to hear more about your spiritual journey and your relationship with Christ, whatever you're willing to share. So actually, I was reading through the questions. I've got a lot of questions about that, and so I'm going to answer more fully now. And so the next ones I'll be a bit more brief. We'll try and share a bit more now. So I grew up in a family that was not Christian at all. And when I was younger, I had a best friend who was a believer, was a Christian, a follower of Jesus. Long story short, I had been praying one day for actual proof, that I had an issue. Actually, it's interesting because I live in a Muslim country, right? And I live in a country with a lot of Muslims, not a Muslim country, a country with a lot of Muslims. There are many Christians in Egypt too, and other religions. But I had two of my best friends were Muslims when I was young, and I remember praying and asking, what is the difference? What's going on here? I'd never been taught anything about anything. And I wanted to understand what was significant about the name of Jesus, about Jesus in general. So I remember praying about that, and shortly, within a few days of praying, a friend of mine who was a Christian had invited me on a trip with her and her family. So I went with her, and I don't want to scare people, but let's just say that question of why was Jesus so extraordinarily different from any other religious leader that we might know of or think of, or any spiritual thing out there. That was really my prayer. Basically what happened that weekend with my friend answered my question more than I could have ever imagined. And it was a bit of a scary thing. I think for most people might be a bit scared by it. I know I was. I believe the spiritual realm is very real, that we have a physical realm you can touch, taste, etc., but that there's a spiritual realm including God and the unseen, and that does include, for me, demons, angels, etc. Let's just say there's only one name that would set a person free from bondage, spiritual bondage, and that's the name of Jesus. Bottom line, I saw that clear as day that weekend, and it was quite striking. From that point onward, I started reading books about how the name of Jesus, how Jesus sets people free and why. And that became a journey for me, because again, I came from a family that did not believe that, and I was quite young when I was asking those questions, and at that point I started to experience things in the spiritual realm, where I was able to see firsthand with myself too that the name of Jesus was very, very powerful and freeing, and something very different than anything I'd ever heard of, studied, etc. So I'll give you one example. Again, I don't say it to scare you. It's actually a very comforting thing to know that God is that real and that present and that close and that caring. But one example was, again, I'm young. No one in my family believes this. They think I'm crazy. Bottom line. I was in my bed one night, sleeping, and I was woken up by a sound in the corner of my room. It was shouting at me. It was a real thing. It wasn't a dream. There was something shouting at me in the corner of my room, and it did not like the process I was going through of learning about who Jesus really was. Not like what people say in the media and this and the other, really like the words of Jesus, because it's very different from all the crap you hear. Anyway, so read the actual words of Jesus. This is very great. Anyway, so I hear this sound in the corner of my room shouting at me, and I kid you not, it just started walking towards me. My eyes are closed, and I'm like in my bed asleep, right? And it like woke me up, but in a sense where like it scared me, to be honest, to the point I didn't want to open my eyes. I couldn't really. I was stuck, you know. And I felt this sound come up to me. I could hear the movement of the pants, like it was, yeah. And it came up and it shouted in my face. This was a short time after I had decided I really did believe that Jesus was who he said he was. And I remembered my friends telling me, you know, if anything happens in the spiritual realm like this, because again, I had seen something quite alarming. And they had said, you know, you just ask in the name of Jesus that whatever this dark presence is, go away in the name of Jesus. And so I remembered that, and I was still kind of like, you know, stuck, but I remember in my head being able to at least in my head say in the name of, but I could not almost get the words out. I was just like in the name of, but then it bursted out of my mouth, Jesus, get out of my room. In the name of was said in my head, but for some reason when I came to say the word Jesus, came out perfectly, no problems. So it's like, in the name of Jesus, get out of my room. And boom, done, gone. That was it, done. That happened for 3 nights in a row, you guys. Again, right after I decided to follow Jesus. And believed who he said he was. My take on it is that was coming from a family that did not believe this stuff at all. And I get the sense that the enemy, I do believe there's an enemy, and I do believe there are demons. Hello. Sorry. So, not just believe, like I've seen, anyway, so I get the sense that there was maybe a slight target on my back, like, let's keep her in the dark. We do not want her to know anything. She's got a good old family not telling her a thing. She don't believe a word of it. And when I started to believe, it was like, it felt like actual spiritual attempts at maybe stopping me of sorts. I don't know. Happened 3 nights. Talked to my friends that were Christians, and they said, wow, okay, well, God doesn't want that to happen to you. He definitely doesn't want that to happen. Let's just pray it never happens again. They prayed with me, and it never happened again. That is one of, I kid you not, you guys, thousands of stories in my life that have happened. Thousands. And that was just one of the first. So that's how I came to follow Jesus. It was a journey from there. I had to learn a lot about who God really was and his character, because I had not really read scripture much ever in my life. I didn't know that it wasn't just this religious follow these laws and then God will be good to you or love you. It's like the complete opposite of what we mostly think about interacting with the one who created us. It's like the complete opposite. It literally is like, I can't do it correct on my own. No human can. And that is why Jesus then lived a perfect life and died the death that I deserved in my place. So he sees me as clean and right in his eyes. Long story of how all that works and Jesus' story, but I guess I would just encourage you to read his story, his words in the Bible. You can read that. Anyway, a big passion of mine, and that's a bit of my story. So I think the other questions might touch on little things, but I noticed a lot of people asking about that, which I'm honoured to share. Thank you for asking. And that's a tidbit. Okay, next, June. I hope this is not too personal. I've been struggling lately and thought you might have some insight. As a Christian woman, how were you able to navigate going through a divorce? Did you find that other believers even around you, were being extremely judgmental about it? Great question, June. I'm going to switch my items, okay? I'm going to grab this yellow nail polish. Okay. First of all, June, I'm really sorry that you've been going through this. It's extremely painful, extremely, extremely difficult process. And it was definitely difficult. I found that if I did not share the entirety of the story of what had happened, there was a good amount of judgment. I don't know that I would really call it judgment. I would call it people were so concerned because it popped out of nowhere. For me too, it was very out of nowhere. And they wanted to help. They loved us as a couple. They wanted to be there. They didn't want us to be apart, as we didn't ultimately. but something that a few things that happened were so not okay that I would have recommended any woman that happened to separate. That is not just separate. Get out of that situation completely. Process that and be I don't know how much to share about what happened. Maybe someday I'll share my story. I would like to someday. I'm not quite in this moment, but I will at some point. But I would say once they knew what had actually happened, they were very, very supportive. But I think it's really tough because when people don't know what happened or don't understand details, etc., it can feel like you're being judged. Maybe try to think of it as them like, they love you, they care about you, they think they're doing the right thing before God to try to like help, right? But sometimes it's just the worst thing they could do and you literally just want to punch them in the face. There's lots of moments where I felt that. To this day I still just, it makes you livid when people don't understand and say things, etc. I'm so sorry. It's a horrible experience, and I have to say it's often really difficult I found it to be true that more women, I know at least in my life, my experience, have been the ones to take that step of divorce after years of struggling with things, but there's no action taken until it's too late in a lot of people's cases. And it sucks because then you look like the person that is not being faithful, but it's actually the other person that's not faithful. And you just have self-respect and know your worth before the Lord. So, what else did you say? You've been struggling with that? Are we able to navigate? Yeah, so I guess that kind of answers the question. Let me see. It says read more. Is there something else? Oh, you just said some sweet words. I'm so glad. Thank you, Jean. Okay. Next one. Ken. These questions might be kind of basic. LOL. What's a trigger you cannot stand? No, I love all the questions. Trigger I cannot stand? Slow tapping. Did I already answer these? Forgive me if I did. I have a terrible memory. What's a trigger? I can't stand slow tapping. This kind of thing. I actually get like fidgety. Like, gosh. I know that for most people this like might make them fidgety, but for me I'm just like, yeah, that's the stuff, you know. Okay, what's your favorite food besides the lemon salad? Any Mexican food. I really love like Lebanese and Syrian food too, so like hummus and tabbouleh and garlic sauces and stuff. I do love pasta. Oh, not pasta. Italian food too. Which language do you find the hardest to learn? For me, of the languages I've learned, it's definitely Arabic. However, of all languages I've ever encountered, because I have a degree in linguistics, which is the study of language, I think personally it would be the hardest to learn Cantonese, which is a language spoken in Hong Kong, because there are, I want to say about 13 tones in the language. If you know anything about Mandarin, I believe there are four tones, which means, for example, you can say the word MA in four different tones, and I can't do it correctly, so I won't even try, but like you might be saying it up. So let's give an example, just like in English. If we had tones in English, let's say we're saying polish, we might say polish, 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 different tones, right? Anyway, you get it. You could be saying the same word, it sounds like, but if the tone is different, it's a different word completely. So Mandarin has 4 of those. Imagine having nearly 13, if I'm not mistaken. Someone that speaks Cantonese, correct me if I'm wrong. Tones would be so hard to learn, to memorize, to hear when someone's speaking, and to recognize the different word based on the tone. Amazing. That would be hardest for me. Who's your favourite ASMR YouTuber? Okay, I've already answered that. What holiday do you love the most? I love Christmas the most. Really, just love it. The whole thing. I love the whole season. I love 3 months leading up to it. I love, the weeks after it. The whole bit, every part of it. What's your zodiac sign? Okay, I don't believe in zodiac stuff, but I am apparently, I believe, born in the time that they would say I'm a Cancer. Here's my question. Okay, I'm probably super don't get it right, but I have a family member real close to me, Cancer also. Couldn't be more opposite. Tons of people I know born in that same time frame. Couldn't be more opposite. I just can't wrap my head around being born at a certain time, making you similar in so many ways, because there's so many of us born at every month. Anyway, someone explain that to me. Okay, what's a trigger that you hate? Already said it. Do you prefer tapping or scratching? I think tapping. Okay. I already answered that one. Tatiana 2006. How'd you meet your boyfriend? I already answered. Georgia Gomes. Are you planning on doing more traveling to different countries in the future? Yeah, I hope so. I do like getting to know the cultures, and so I hope so. How did you and your partner meet? Same thing. Can you please do more soap candle scratching? Okay, I just put out a video recently. It's a 3-ish hour compilation of soap scratching. You could check that out. Okay, Bry, Bryy. Would you ever, in the near or far future, plan to do a face reveal? I don't think so. It's probably 99% no. So sorry. But I really love the anonymous factor. Like, for me, it's great. I'm sorry for you guys, but I just really, it works out. Okay, ASMR with Saul. Hi, Saul. Saul did a custom video recently, and I always see your comments. How do you deal with going through hard times in life, mental health stuff? Do you have any advice for anyone in their 20s? I feel like I did kind of answer that already with mental health stuff and hard times in life. It's the Jesus and Prozac answer. Or just generally, when I say Prozac, I do mean not just literally Prozac, but like looking into your mental health with a psychiatrist and that sort of thing. I think that's really, really, truly those 2 things are my best advice. I mean, yeah. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I would say? Really, those are at least in my life, that's what I've need. It's been what's helped me in every way. So, okay, I think I already answered those. Jasmine with an asterisk for the A. What's the best equipment to buy for an ASMR artist, beginner, camera, mic, etc.? If you're a beginner, I would say to use your iPhone. They're amazing. Just iPhone you can even use the camera on your microphone, on your iPhone. But I use a Blue Yeti mic that plugs into my iPhone. So that's what I think is great. And I don't know, I used to use a different camera, but I think I like my iPhone better personally. Some of you probably don't, but I really like it. I think it's really good. I don't think you need to be that amazing, but I'm not a perfectionist, so if you are, you might not want to listen to me. Okay. Shrabanti Sinha. I think you're Indian. Let me know. If Villa could spend a whole day doing one thing, what would it be? Did I already answer this? I don't know. If I could spend a whole day doing one thing, be playing Settlers of Catan with my friends, with music playing and dancing, and eating lemon salad and ice cream. And maybe I just want some of the little nuggets with me too, some of my little nuggets around me. Once in a while, not the whole time, just like coming up for hugs, you know, that would be great. If Villa was granted a trip to a country place of her choice, where would she go? At this moment, I think I'd really like to go to New Zealand for some reason. The beauty of that is quite appealing. When are we getting a chill, chatty, impromptu nail tapping video next? Right now? No, it's not impromptu. Okay, I'll try to do that. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Sapphire Jewel ASMR. You are the sweetest. You literally take the time to comment and like every video, and your emojis are amazing, and your care in detail is amazing. So, thank you for everything. You guys should go check out her channel, Sapphire Jewel ASMR. Okay, I'm going to switch items. I'll come back and, you know, I'll cycle through some of these. But I really like the sound of the lid on this one. Number 1, are you still Christian? Yes, I am. Has Egypt, culture, religion, traditions, food, etc. affected, changed, influenced your religion, spiritual beliefs, religious practices? Good question. No. Has Egypt in any of those ways changed? No. I do respect the culture, the religion, the traditions, though, and I do, out of respect, I cover my head, and I care deeply for the people here and for the Muslim community. So I definitely show respect, and I love learning more about Islam. It's a passion of mine, and I love Muslims beyond just deeply. It's been since I was really young, but it hasn't changed anything about me. No, it's been something I've been interested in for years and studied and cared about a lot. So number 4, have you changed your way of dressing, clothes style? Yes, I just answered that. I do dress differently, but like, again, that's out of respect for the culture, not because I've changed. I still have my personality and my type of clothing, and really part of my personality is I really do respect other cultures, and when I've lived in different places I do dress accordingly. For example, if I walk down the street here with shorts and a tank top on with my hair down, it would be like really inappropriate. It's not that I can, it just wouldn't be very respectful. I'm sorry if you can hear my neighbours. And it would be like getting way too much attention that I don't want. Number 5, I always wondered if your ex-husband was Christian too or Muslim. He's a Christian, my ex-husband, but you don't have to answer that question. Yeah, he's Christian. Will you ever make a video with your American accent? Actually, someone already asked a little bit about that in the last video. If you want to hear my American accent, you have to watch part 1. Number 7, and I don't think I'll do a whole video in my American accent. Maybe sometime, maybe. I know you guys like it still, but I'm sorry for the little nuggets crying, but this is such a long video that I can't edit out all the sounds. I'm really sorry. But yeah, okay. Do you miss living in the US or the country itself? Someone already asked that. Don't want to be disrespectful, but why did you change the luxurious American lifestyle for the humble Egyptian lifestyle? That's sweet. I don't think that's disrespectful. I think you're just asking a question a lot of people do ask me, etc. It's not that American lifestyle is completely luxurious all the time, but there's definitely a difference, for sure, especially because I'm living in a more, I don't know, humble area of Egypt, if you could say. I have few passions. One of them I've mentioned. I have a big passion for Muslims. I care deeply, to learn more, to understand more, to get inside the mind and care and bridge a gap. So I also have a real passion for poverty around the world, for children and adults and even animals that like just don't have enough food, water, etc. like in really bad conditions. So like that's been a big part of my life too. So I actually prefer to live in parts of the world that maybe are more like that, because it gives me more of an opportunity to help on a regular basis and just kind of be on the ground where you can see what the actual needs are and see how those needs could maybe be met by the actual culture. And I don't know, you guys, just as simply as like there's just like dogs and cats that like don't have enough food and water, and I just like give it to them. That like is really something I would like to do. And just like people that are living in bad circumstances, and you know, maybe you can help them out a bit. Just little things like that. Maybe just even sharing with other people around the world what's possible if you, I don't know, if you just live outside of your comfort zone or something. ASMR Gnome, what happened with living in community and your marriage? Well, when I lived in community, I was married, and that was part of living in community, but unfortunately I had to divorce my spouse, and I didn't live in that community anymore as a result. So I still love living in community and do it again, like I answered for Marco's question, but yeah, that's what happened. Okay, Rhiannon Rose, what are some challenges you have faced with dating in an Eastern country? That's a really good question. Just understanding how the male-female interaction works very differently here. What certain things mean, they mean different things here than they would in the US. It's, you know, in the US it's really normal to just go on a date. Once you're dating someone, you know, you can hold hands, you can meet their families and date. Whereas like here, when you date someone, most people don't date. Maybe the younger generation does a little bit. Most people don't technically date, and if they do, they don't tell their parents. And then so yeah, just dating in general was interesting for me because there's only some people that are comfortable with that. And let's see, yeah, and then you typically, in a normal, I'd say general situation for dating for an Egyptian, you would likely have the families meet and connect prior to the couple ever spending time together alone, and often still you might even have a chaperone, and once engagement takes place, it's as though you are now dating. So once you're engaged, you can then go together places more freely and you kind of can start dating. So it's very, very different, very, very different. Me and my boyfriend are not going about it that way. We're dating in more of a Western sense, but not completely. Like there are elements that are very different. So just learning the differences. Okay, Chelsea Kindle. What's the best food you've had since moving to Egypt? Best thing I've had here. I think it's still the thing I said before, masa'a. It's the dish I mentioned. Does your boyfriend want to visit the US? Yeah, he would love that. Kristen Moore, do you find living outside of the US easier than living in the USA? Not pros and cons. There are parts that are easier and there are parts that are harder about both for me. For me, I would say it's easier living outside the US generally, and that's just because of my heart and who I am as a person, but practically it's easier in the US in a lot of ways. For example, I live 5 stories up with no elevator. When I go out, I'm fully covered by choice. But that, it just creates more restriction. It's just a bit harder to go out and do stuff each day. Whereas I just visited the US, I was like, jump up. I don't need to make sure I look decent. I don't need to I literally can go full pajamas anywhere in the US. Did I already answer this? Probably. So anyway, so yeah, there's those really easy things, and you just drive somewhere. Here I have to wait for a taxi. I don't have a car. Even if I did, the traffic is intense. So some things are easier there, but for me I prefer it here, so it's easier. Charlotte Murphy, what religion do you follow and how did you join it? Did you convert or were you born into it? So I actually already answered that question. So Christian, and no, I was not born into a Christian family, and I shared my story there. Thank you for your question, Charlotte. KTS, do you ever get nervous while solo traveling? Do you think Egypt is safe for solo female travel? Would love to visit there? Yeah. Do I ever get nervous while solo traveling? Yes. Sometimes it can be stressful. I wouldn't say nervous. I'm not nervous. It can be stressful though, trying to figure out things that you just have no idea about. I do think Egypt is very safe for a solo female traveller. Yes, I do. Egypt is extremely, extremely safe overall. People are so hospitable. People are so caring. I've gotten lost many times in the wee hours of the night and had to stop and ask people for help with their Uber because my app wasn't working or my 4G wasn't working, and they just help me freely, and they're protecting me. They're like, sit here, I don't want any. Everyone's protecting you from everyone else. Egyptians are usually very suspicious of each other, but they will protect you. So yeah, I think it's super safe. Just make sure that you know that there are possibilities for people trying to maybe take advantage or get you to purchase something or pay for something or things like that. Like that could be maybe an issue. So maybe read up a bit on Middle Eastern culture and how it functions in a setting where you're bargaining for things to purchase, or be careful with men asking to maybe date you or something like that without you knowing them, etc. Okay, Joe Schmo. I love my Joe Schmo. So Joe's been with the channel for so long, huge supporter, hilarious, encouraging, etc. And the question already makes me laugh. Do you have a type? You seem to go a long way to find Egyptian guys. I think because I've lived outside of the US so much in my life, I guess, I don't know, I'm just much more attracted to Indian, Middle Eastern, Asian men than I am white guys, to put it plainly. Sorry. And it's not just how they look, but it would take a really unique personality of someone who was like my own ethnicity, I guess you could say, to really intrigue me. This, oh gosh, I love the name of this one. Oh, I already answered that. Okay, next one. Diana? Oh, Diana, but like a different spelling. Afifa, what's your favorite ASMR triggers, sounds? Favorites? Ooh, actually, plastic tapping is one of them. Typing and talking. Anything where someone's whispering and kind of talking like I am at the moment, but maybe more whispering than soft-spoken. And fast tapping, telling stories. That's probably my favorite. Speaking of that, I'm going to switch back to my label maker. What inspired you to make videos and start a YouTube channel? Well, I was friends with a girl who had a YouTube channel at the time when I started, and that kind of made me think about it. And then I had been watching ASMR videos for about 2 years at that point to fall asleep, and I kind of just thought, why don't I try to make one, see what happens. I did it, it went well, and I just kept doing it. That was pretty much it. I thought it was really fun. I did themed videos, and after a while it just became a part of my life. But I just loved ASMR. I fell asleep to it, etc. So yeah. What is your wish for the future? That's a great question. I'm not sure if you mean my future or the general future of the world, but I'll answer for me, because I think that's probably likely what you're meaning. I wish to be able to understand and connect to other cultures in a meaningful way. That affects people's lives in ways that bring life. Okay. Okay, let's see. ASMRV. Hi Villa, I remember you mentioning your faith in past videos and was just curious how or if that had changed at all since moving. Is there a difference in Egyptian and American church culture? How would you say your relationship with God has changed since your move? Love you and your content. Okay, so first question, no, nothing's changed in my faith. Yes, there are differences in Egyptian and American church cultures. Depends if you're talking about Coptic Christians or like, I guess you'd say evangelical Egyptian church. Coptic churches would be more orthodox, etc. Kind of maybe feel more like what we might feel in a maybe Catholic church setting, but most Egyptian churches here are more like evangelical, so it'd feel probably a bit similar to an American church in some ways. Has my relationship with God changed since my move? Well, I mean, it's always growing and it's always becoming sweeter and deeper and more settled and firm and peaceable. So in that sense, yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a sense like when I'm overseas, I usually am more alone and in a different culture, and it's just like God is it's just like everything, it's just everything. Always is, but there's something about when you're out of your comfort zone and like you're just desperate all the time. Even more so maybe. Louisville, have you planned or thought? No, you did that one. Okay. What is this one? It's like H-I-H-I. Okay, just hi. That's the name of the channel. Hi, or the name of the account. What do you miss about the US? Mexican food and my loved ones. Do you still dance? Yes, I do, all the time. I do Zumba in Egypt. What are some culture shocks you have had? I can't even tell you how many. Let's think of a few. Well, I don't know if this is considered culture shock, but the way that your electricity works is you have a little card and you have to like charge it. Speaking of that, I should probably work on that before my electricity goes out on me again. In order to like recharge your card, you don't just like pay your bills per month. You actually have to take your card, at least I do because I live in an older area of Egypt. Take your card, go to a person that has like a little thing like this, and you give money and that recharges your card. Didn't know that at first. Lost full electricity at night once and didn't know how to get it back, so that was fun. Culture shocks, just generally like I've been in cultures fairly similar for many years, so I'm kind of thinking back to when I first entered cultures like this. You know, I'd say the bathroom in general. So when you take a shower, there's no rules about where the water goes. Water can go all around the bathroom. The bathroom is not a place for rugs, it's not a place for towels, it's not a place for bath products. It's a place for water only. Water can go everywhere. And so, you know, that was kind of surprising at first. I don't even have a curtain like most people would, but I don't even have a curtain. It's just like a place for the shower, place for the restroom, place for your hands, and water can just go everywhere. I had a really funny bidet incident that you can listen to if you find that story. You can look up ASMRVilla bidet story. Oh, I don't know how else you could find that. You can find... How else could you find that? Try looking that up. It's not an ASMR video. I do some videos once in a while that are not ASMR. I call them not ASMR. And they're just like a 5-minute me telling you a story of my cultural faux pas. So that would be a great place for you to find. So I have a playlist called Not ASMR. That's where you're going to find all my cultural faux pas or shocks I've had. How do you make friends in a new country? That was really hard at first. I actually ended up being encouraged to join an all-women's gym, and that was where I found a lot of friends. So joining a gym was a really helpful thing for me. If you're in a place that doesn't have a gym, I don't know if there's any like... It's kind of hard sometimes. I'm trying to think of another place, because a lot of places like Egypt, people are friends with the people they knew in school and the family, and like making new friends outside of that is not as common. So you might need to take some classes. It'll be in a workplace setting, not sure. Did you start ASMR as a hobby? I mean, I guess so. It wasn't really hard. I just tried it and kind of wanted to see what would happen. What inspired you to make a YouTube channel? Okay, I answered that. Alright. Mamoy Loy. Girl, tell us about your life in Egypt. Do you have friends? Where's Sarah? How you and your BF met? and tell us more about yourself so we can know you better. Of course, we love your anonymous style. Okay, so I think I've shared, the friends I've met. Yes, I have quite a handful of really close friends. I met them at the gym. We're in dance classes together. We do stuff outside of the gym now. They're really sweet. Sarah moved and had tons of changes in her life. I haven't seen her for a long time, but I wish everything great to her. Well, okay, I'm just going to keep answering questions because that's kind of me telling you more about myself. Let's see. Matthew Drake. How have you replaced Taco Bell in Egypt? Such a good question. It's irreplaceable, my friend. And so when I went back, I got it on one of the first days I was there. I love Taco Bell. But I've found black beans in the stores here. They're hard to find, but I found them. And I melt like a cheddar cheese on top, but like a white cheddar. And I just do some, they do have taco sauces here, some salsas in kind of specialty stores. And then I found tortilla chips in the specialty store, so I can try to get a bean cheese dip going. Megan Kilburn, how long have you and your boyfriend been together, and are your hopes to stay in Egypt permanently? We've been together for 1.5 years, and yes, we are hoping. We're not entirely sure, but I would love to stay in this part of the world, and we're gonna try and figure that out. Let's see. Gabangelic. Will you get married again? Do you still believe in marriage? Yes, I do believe in marriage. Will I get married again? I don't know. Let's see what happens. Okay, Maisie Black. Hi. If this is too personal, I completely understand. I remember some time long ago you mentioning that you felt so secure in Christianity because you felt it was kind of proven to you through answering your prayers or through helping you out of a situation. I can't remember the exact details now, but I was always curious about that. I am not in any way trying to promote any theology or make fun of or anything negative at all. I am an anti-theist myself, and so I think that is why I'm genuinely curious about people who believe in any theology and what gives them their faith. And I find it, I don't know the word, but definitely a positive thing. So anyway, you just blipped a tiny mention of it one day, and how you had looked to other things to put to, but that it was in Christianity that you found truth. And ever since then, I have always been curious about what it was that brought you to this specific faith. This isn't at all in the form of a readable question, LOL, but maybe you can touch on it. That was a great question. Totally understood. Okay, so I think the question before, I think I've pretty much fully answered this. However, there was one thing you said that I thought I could maybe touch on. Maybe why I understood following Jesus was different than others. So when I first started to follow Jesus, sorry, my battery's going low, but I'll recharge and keep filming. I had a lot of questions because, like I said, 2 of my best friends were Muslims, and for me, I wanted to understand what the difference was. Is there something that is actually true, or are all of these things true? I did a lot of research, and I've lived in a lot of parts of the world. I've lived with Hindus, I've lived with Muslims, and I've looked at how those things affect people's lives, and I've studied the Bible, I've studied the Torah and the Old and New Testaments. I've also read the Quran, and etc., etc. So it's been a big passion of mine, and I really do. After hearing my story before, so keep that in context, it was very clear to me that there was something in the spiritual realm that only responded to the name of Jesus. If I were to have said, and this is not to be disrespectful at all, this is just the experience I had. If I were to have said in any other name, in the name of this person, in the name of that person, in the name of this thing or that thing, get out or get away from me, I do not believe the same result would have came about. In fact, I do know of stories where people did try other names to see what would happen, and the result was the entity actually attacking. So I truly do. That was a really big thing for me to understand the power in the name of Jesus and why his name is so significant. So I'm going to try to be specific but brief here. If you're looking at the world humans created, and from a Jewish, looking at the old covenant, the way in which God interacted with the Israelites from long ago, and seeing how people's interaction with God took place, and how he asked us as people not to worship anything besides him. And yet we did turn to worship things that he had created. For example, the sun, he created the sun. For example, an idol that's created from wood that he created, that could be burnt, that could be a rock that he created, that we've turned into something we would worship. And God says many times in the Old Covenant, like, worship the one who created it, not the created. And so when I look at many religions and forms of worship around me in the world, I see different forms of that. And I do believe it's not worshipping the one that created us. And then you can go and look through how what was promised through the prophets in the Old Covenant to the Israelites was that a Messiah would be coming. And when that Messiah came, he fulfilled prophetic things that are just kind of beyond comprehension. And in that became a substitute for us that was aforementioned in a ways that are just beyond what humans can come up with. It's not possible to have communicated about something that then happened so specifically in so many ways without having known it would take place, etc. So I believe for so many reasons that Jesus is the Messiah, and that he fulfills those prophetic things in dying for every single human being, and being the one that can provide freedom from ourselves and our bondage and our brokenness and our pain and our fear and our etc. Like, he's our God and the lover of our souls, and provided a way for us to be free without any works on our part. It's him that did the deed to help. It's not us doing a bunch of good deeds enough to be pleasing to God, doing enough charitable acts, doing enough right things where we could have some pride on ourselves thinking we've done it. No, with Jesus it's literally only because he died for me that I am considered right before God to be in the presence of a holy God. And it's a freeing thing, because I can't do anything to make that happen, but believe him. So most religions in the world, when you do study them in depth, they're just really not all the same. There's usually a series of things that you must do to be considered right before God, to be considered like your sins are forgiven. But there's no actual real substitute, no real thing that takes place to free you from sins. Whereas when you follow the living God, I believe, of the Old Covenant, saying that there's a Messiah coming, you think about all the sacrifices made in the Old Testament. So people sacrificed lambs and sheep, etc. to some death had to take place as a result of the sin that took place in their lives in order to substitute for them. So then when Jesus died, even though he was a perfect sacrifice, he didn't need to, and that's why those sacrifices of animals in the past had to be without blemish, it would say. He was an ultimate perfect sacrifice and was a substitute for where I should have died. So it's literally I didn't do enough good things. I didn't believe the perfect theology, I didn't give to the poor enough. I didn't pray enough. I didn't read my Bible or my Quran or my this or that and the other thing enough and get enough points to please God. And therefore I'm kind of this place and other humans are here. No, it's literally just all of us, like, we can't do it and you did it for us. So for me, there's a very clear distinction that you just don't see. In fact, many people that are Christians, still we don't completely understand that free gift. We don't understand it's not of our own. We still try and work for it, try and get self-righteous things, you know. Anyway, boom, that's my answer. Okay, I'm grabbing another thing. I will say too, the fruit of it in my life is like actual peace, actually seeing myself the way that God sees me instead of what anyone else sees me as. And it's just the most freeing thing ever. You know, literally, hallelujah. So the fruit of it is really there. The freedom, the everything that I experience is really there. Like, so that's that. Thank you for asking, Maisie Black. Okay, the next question is by Holly Jackson. Why is keeping your identity hidden important to you? Well, at first it was because right before I started the channel, the girl I had mentioned earlier who had a YouTube channel, the police had been at her home because of someone showing her address online and threatening some things of something along those lines. And it was it was enough to say, like, I'm going to consider, if I start a channel, being anonymous. I'm really glad I continued doing that though. I just prefer it. I don't know. I don't like the idea of anyone knowing who I am, or like seeing me and knowing who I am, and like, even though I have a really small channel, it just, like, in case it ever got bigger, I thought it'd be good if no one knew. I don't know. I just like it that way. It's worked out really well over the years, and it's kind of fun for me to keep it to myself, I guess, and I like the privacy. What do you do for work? This is actually the thing that I do for my work now. It wasn't always that way, like I said before, but this is actually what I do. I just never call it work because it's really fun. I don't think of it that way. Okay, let's see, next question. Haley Grace. How were you able to emotionally heal from your divorce? What helped you push through the hard times? That's a good question. So, you know, I think every situation is probably really different. But for me, the hurt that took place was quite extreme, and it was more than one thing. That was quite extreme and quite out of nowhere. So for me, I felt a lot of integrity in my decision, and I didn't want to be anywhere near that situation. So maybe that helped a bit. It was quite extreme, and like, I knew what I was doing was the right thing. And I sat and I asked God for encouragement and comfort every day, all day. I was alone for about 3 months. I kid you not. COVID had just started, and I got to stay in the apartment of a friend who was out of town because of COVID. I got to stay in their apartment. I got to be by myself for literally 3 months and process and pray, and it was huge for me to have that time alone, I think. And just ask God to speak to me, his encouragement, his comfort, and he did, and it ended up being one of the most painful but one of the sweetest times in my life too. I would see, I guess I would suggest the same thing. Having time to think, process alone, ask God for his encouragement and comfort to you, and if you can do some counselling or something like that. But every situation's so different. That was just how mine was. Okay, next question. Brooklyn Gifford. What do your finances look like living in Egypt? Is it expensive to live there? And do you have a job outside of YouTube? Or okay, I'd answer that. So I don't make a lot, but it's enough for me to live here. And certain things are expensive in Egypt and other things are not. Housing is not expensive, so my rent is not expensive. My gas, water, electricity is not expensive, but most other things are. So you kind of have to give and take there. But for me, I don't spend a lot. I am quite frugal, so it's just really the housing and stuff. So I do buy a lot when I'm in the US though, because I need it to last me for a year. And I buy little things here and there. So yeah, it's it's not expensive to live here in terms of rent and such. Okay, the next question is by CA. Just literally the letter C, the letter A. In your earlier videos, you talked a lot more about your religion, etc. Have your thoughts on religion changed, or did you decide to just remove that part of your life from the public eye on your channel? So I guess I already answered that. No, nothing actually changed. I think people may have thought that because I had moved or divorced or whatever it might be. But no, nothing. Okay, next question. The name's Kara. Number 1, what are your favourite places that you've travelled to? Well, India and Egypt are my favourites. I really liked Morocco. I really enjoyed Singapore. I really loved Italy. Yeah. Whereabouts are you from? The US. I don't usually share more specifically than that, but I'm from the US. Would you recommend travelling to Egypt? Yes, 100%. Depends on your personality. If you can handle wild and like no rules and just chaos and culture and colour and all that stuff, you're going to have a great time. If you like rules and you don't come, you won't like it. What are your future plans for the channel? That's a good question. I'm really still trying to do longer videos. I didn't get to as much in the last month or so because of travelling, but really like longer videos for you guys instead of a lot of little short ones. And just continuing themes and colours, kind of adding the nails to themes and items. I still want to do a lot of walkthroughs. I would love in the future to get to do other countries, and like I got to tap on the pyramids and the Eiffel Tower, so if I'm ever in another country I'd like to do places like that. So yeah, things like that. Okay, next, I'm like trying to pass the questions that were already asked. They're all mixed up now. Okay, Kenzie, what are some of the differences from the USA to Egypt that you've noticed? Well, there you go. Lots of rules in the US, almost no rules in Egypt, although that's not always a good thing. That can be a bad thing too. Like there's no real justice system, like that's not good. But it in some cases there's pros and cons to both. So but yeah, like there's no like when you're driving, for example, literally no lines on the road. You just go anywhere, everywhere, go backwards. Feel free to put a horse in there, a dog, a sheep, whatever, a donkey. You cross the road anytime you want. There's no like crosswalks. It's just like time is not as much of an concept here. Like it is, but just like you're not on time to things always. People like Egyptian time is more flexible, fluid. Although the younger generation is a bit more on time if you like going to classes and you know going to the gym for class. Although it's possible your teacher might fall into the category of very fluid with time and show up 15 minutes late. I mean, let's see, the dress is very different. Food is very different. Everything's different, really. Those are just some things. I'm trying to think if there's anything, I don't know, like there's no dryers here. We dry our clothes outside the window on a line. It's mostly apartment buildings in Egypt for the most part. 90% of apartment buildings. There's not like homes necessarily like the way we see it in the US. There's more like villas, like people either live in an apartment or like a really big villa. It's not a lot of in between. There's not really houses. There's so many people here. The population is so, there's just people everywhere all the time. In the US you can walk down the streets and never see a person, but here like you can't go anywhere and not see another person. People are a lot more hospitable here, generally speaking. In the US you can walk by a person and if they ask for help, like you might just quickly answer. Here like you'd like walk with the person, show them the thing they need, maybe bring them to your home for tea. Yeah, it's a lot safer in Egypt than in the US. But there's a lot more greenery in the US than there's in Egypt. We're in a desert here and it's literally just sand and the buildings are the colour of sand. So it's not a very pretty place for the most part. You can go to places that are beautiful, but generally speaking we are just kind of a dust. It's like this everywhere, this colour everywhere. So I would say the greenery in the US is very beautiful. It's not typically that way here. Yeah. Okay, next question by Faith McDonald. Hi, I love your videos, and I have 2 questions. Will we ever be able to meet your husband or family? So I'm divorced, but I am dating someone. I have a boyfriend. And actually, you have met him in a few videos. There's a few with him in it. You can check those out. Probably wouldn't share more family than that. Number 2, were you ever able to find another giant chocolate bar? No! You guys, I had found a chocolate bar like this big at Trader Joe's years ago, and I searched for year after year after year. It came out at like Christmas time, so I'd search at Christmas time. I could not find one that big. Very sad, but it means you've been with me for a long time, and I love that, Faith. That's awesome. Okay, Zam. Hi, Villa. My question is, what did you think of ASMR when you first heard of it? I literally melted in my chair. I didn't even hear of it. I just started watching a video thinking it was a hair tutorial, and I melted in my chair and I got tingles, and I did not want to stop watching it. It was just like, oh my gosh, what is this magic? This is amazing. And that's what I thought of it. Thought it was glorious, amazing, wonderful. Then I looked up the term ASMR, figured out what it was, and I just thought it was the greatest thing ever, because I had experienced it my whole life. I just didn't know what it was. So it was like a, exciting thing. Okay. Ankit Saha. Number 1, I want you to share your experience while you were in India. Okay. I lived in India for 2 school years. I lived on the campus of a school/hospital. I worked with the children there. I got to teach classes there. I taught dance, I taught Bible, and I taught English. And I just fell in love with all the kids. They're like mine. I love them with all my heart. So I'm actually hoping to visit India in the next year or so, because I've been planning to do that before COVID happened. And anyway, looking forward to doing that. I had a great experience for the most part. I look back on it with an incredible appreciation for that time. It was also really, really difficult because I had to... Yeah, it was just a complicated situation in trying to figure out how to best help the kids that were on the campus with me. There were quite a few children that lived in the hostel on the campus, and there were a lot of needs, and the administration there didn't really pay a lot of attention to the children, but for me they were my focus, and I feel like it was very, very difficult at times because of the way that the administration there wanted to lead things, and I really didn't agree, and it became overwhelming at times. I also was really overworked. I had a lot of roles I was filling there, and I just hadn't learned a lot about boundaries with my time, and also just how to handle administration in those situations, how to best handle things. I could have done things better. Long story, but it was both the most amazing, sweetest time, but also to be honest, a very oppressive and difficult time in a lot of ways too. Number 2, in addition to that, do you think you'll be relocating in India for a few years like you're currently staying in Egypt? Not that I know of at this moment, but I really do love Indian culture. I love the dance, I love the food. My experience with the dance and food and culture were amazing overall. And I lived in the outskirts, in a very rural place, with rice paddies. It was really beautiful. The people are so sweet and kind and welcoming also. But yeah, I lived in a village actually. Next question, Naomi Lasern. Do you play video games? If so, what are some of your favorites? No, I'm sorry, I don't. I do not, so I don't even know how to answer, but I'm sorry. Thank you for your question though. Danielle S. Hi Villa, what is your filming setup for videos where you're walking around, like your tap throughs or outside videos? Do you use a phone? Any special microphones / accessories? They're some of my favorite videos and I'm so curious since whatever you're doing is so effective. Wow, I'm really glad to hear that. That's really sweet, because I literally just walk around with my phone and tap on stuff. I don't use any special mics or anything. I just use my phone, so it's really nice that you like the videos. I'm so glad. King Soup is the name. Do you have goals for this channel? I guess I already answered that. What's your favourite place you visited in Egypt? Definitely Khana Khalili, which is an outside bazaar. It's just really fun to shop at. Colours, you feel like you're in like this magical place. It's wonderful. What's your craziest travelling story? Oh, I have a lot of them. I have so many. I'll say one of them. I remember being in the airport in Morocco the day that Osama bin Laden was killed. That was quite interesting. I was trying to stay away from large groups of people because that's where you could experience a problem. It was just like trying to avoid large groups, and it was a very interesting day. Another one. I have a lot of crazy airplane stories. Again, I would check out my not ASMR series. There's a playlist for that if you want to hear some funny traveling stories. Oh gosh. I've travelled so much and had so many funny things happen. I feel like maybe I should just make a video about that. That might be a better idea. Maybe I can make a video about my crazy travelling stories. Does that sound good? Okay, next question. Mal. If you could live anywhere besides Egypt or the US, where would you live? Do you ever miss the US or want to move back? Do you ever have any fear about leaving the States? If so, how long did it take you to overcome that fear? I've always dreamed of living in Italy or getting a vacation home there in the future, but I think my fear of travelling is holding me back. If you can, I would love some advice on overcoming my anxiety about it. I've answered a few of those questions in the previous video already. No, I never had fear about leaving the States. I think because I left when I was young even, and I loved it. So I didn't have that time to build up fear about travelling. In fact, I remember travelling to Indonesia. It was the first place I went, and I remember my family reading things that were happening in Indonesia at that time, and I was like, it's not happening here. Why? It's not even close. It's probably, often when things are happening in a country, it's in a very specific spot, and the country's very big, so you'd really have to be in that really specific spot at that really specific time. And you know what? The risk of that happening is real, and if it's worth it to you, then I would travel. If it's not worth it to you for that risk, then maybe don't, but usually it's worth the risk, because it's rare that something horrible will happen. But horrible things have happened to me too, and it's still all been worth it. Any advice in overcoming anxiety? Start small, maybe. Start with a week in another place, and really have it planned out as best you can, and then slowly increase the time, increase the impromptu-ness of everything. Maybe have things that are not as planned, and see what you can do getting around in public transportation on your own. Like, increase what you're comfortable with over time, and once you've done that and you still want to be in that place, then I think you'll feel more comfortable. Okay, let's see. Next question. ZYMX. I'd be curious to know where each of the purses from your 10 new purses video ended up. Literally, like 8 of them are sitting in the bedroom behind me. I'll get maybe not 8, so maybe like 7, because I'm using one regularly. I gave one to a little in my life. Maybe I gave another one away. I wanted to give them all away, but the thing is, they're all knockoffs and they're not good quality at all. So I asked my boyfriend, can I give these to friends? He's like, that would be an insult. So they're just sitting there waiting for more ASMR videos. Holly McNeil. I mean, literally most people have knockoff bags here in Egypt, but like to give them to someone would be kind of weird apparently. So they're just sitting there. I love that question. Holly McNeil. I haven't seen a video of Sarah for a while. Oh yeah, I already answered that. What's your favourite video you've ever made? My favourite video I've ever made? Ooh, what's my favourite video? Maybe one of the donut videos. I loved the pyramids. I loved videos where I was getting my hair brushed. I really love the candy ones. I think I may have answered this already, but yeah, candy videos, donut videos, those are always fun. Okay, Brinley T. Hi Villa, I was wondering where you like to shop for your clothing. I always love the clothes and jewellery you pick out. Thank you very much. That's really nice. You know, a lot of my clothing is from clothing exchanges with friends. I think I do have maybe a specific style that I'll make work with any clothing I get, but I don't really have a specific shop I go to. I've got a few things from Target. I like a lot of basics, basic things, and then I guess I add a bit of my own flair to them. So there's not really a specific shop, unfortunately. It's really kind of my own style that I just fuse together with whatever I find. But I'd kind of say my style is kind of like, if I'm wearing something kind of masculine, like black skinny jeans and a black leather jacket, I'll usually have like a pink or red lip to give it like a femininity. If I'm wearing something super feminine, I might wear like black boots with it, because I kind of like the juxtaposition. I don't like to be super flowery pink ribbons feminine. That's just not me. But when I am like a kind of more maybe a bit of an edgy style, but then I like to add something like lighter feminine to it, because I'm kind of, anyway, that's that. Let's see, I love that though. Oh, what's the next question? Did I already scroll down? I did. Wow. Kaylee. Nope, already answered that. Okay, hi Itemily 4. Hey Itemily 4. I don't know how to say that. Do you think you will continue to live in your apartment the longer you stay in Egypt, or have you considered moving at all? I am considering moving to a different area that has more Zumba classes that I really love the teachers in, but I'd still probably be, almost certainly be an apartment. There really are mostly only apartments here that would ever be affordable for me. Even though the name is villa, I could never afford a villa. Let's see, I believe you said in a video that in Islam, sorry I'm quite unfamiliar with the religious practices, it is considered haram, or at least not widely accepted, to have painted nails. Do you ever feel insecure or out of place with your long sparkly pretty nails when you're out in public? Yes, I do, but I feel that way in the US too, because this is actually not my personality at all. But I love it for ASMR. I love having long nails for ASMR, and I love doing different colours and things like that for fun for the videos. But technically my personality, if I was having my own nails, would probably be shorter, maybe a little bit long, definitely not like this, and like maybe I don't know, like blue or black or red, something, I don't know. So it's not my personality, and that's why I always feel like I sometimes forget, because it's just there, they're just always there. But definitely if I realize it, I'm like, that's really okay. That's a really great question. You're absolutely correct. Having painted nails is haram in terms of you're considered not to be able to pray if you have painted nails, unless, and I can show you right here, some Muslim women use a nail polish called halal. That means it's permissible, and it says it's breathable. Basically it means that this company at least believes that the water can still go through to your fingernails when you do your washing before prayer, that Muslims do, and that way the water is supposed to touch your nails, and if it doesn't, then your prayer, I believe, is not really accepted. Muslim friends, please correct me, but that's what I've understood. And so I think because I'm a foreigner, there's not really like a second glance at it. They're just like, wow, her nails are absolutely ridiculous in the first. But even if they saw just regular nail polish, they might think I'm on my period. Women here can wear nail polish on the period because they're not allowed to pray during the period. So that's kind of a detailed answer. Do you ever feel like you stand out as an American in Egypt? Yes, I very much feel like I stand out, although I cover my head and wear long sleeves, long pants, or long skirts, so you don't stand out as much in that way. Because I live here, I don't want to be standing out all the time. I'd rather blend in and just not get that any negative attention, or positive for that matter. Kind of just want to like be able to live and not be like stared at. Are you a person who feels homesick often? No, I'm not, thankfully. Let's see. Okay, tapping ASMR Italia. This is an ASMR channel from someone who's in Italy, and I love your comments on my channel, and it's so exciting that you're an ASMR artist in Italy. Okay, 2 questions. You're half Egyptian, half American. Oh, are you half Egyptian, half American, or do you just live in Egypt and are American? I'm American, living in Egypt, yes. And my heritage is like Italian. And some European blend on the other side, but primarily Italian. 2, why don't you collab with some other ASMR artists except your boyfriend? There is some ASMR artists with whom you would is there anyone you would collab with? So I've done collabs with Evie ASMR and with Sarah Rios. Have I done anyone else? No, and that, honestly, it's because of my introvertedness and my laziness. I don't want, I think I'm introverted. Like, I don't want to have to like reach out and do this whole like back and forth and introduce and interact and all these things. Like, I'm kind of like introverted a bit. So it just seems like a lot of effort. It's just, I'm sorry, that's terrible. It's just my personality. I guess I'm just like, I've been asked, but I'm always behind the 8 ball. Like, I always receive the email like long past like a group collab took place. It's been like weeks since it actually went out, and I'm just receiving the email. And that has to do with being slow with being able to get back to people because of an injury I have. But it's not my favorite thing. I'm so sorry, it's just not. But if you really, 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 really wanted to, you could let me know and I could try. But I'm really slow at responding, and I'm really bad at that sort of thing. This is just my honest reply. Okay, Francesca O. Francesca O. Did you go to college? I did. What did you study? I studied linguistics. I have a bachelor's degree in linguistics, which is the study of language. Adeline Mejia. Okay, you asked a number of questions. The only ones that hadn't been answered, I think, is what's your most embarrassing story? What's my most embarrassing story? I mean, one time I peed my pants laughing so hard when I was playing ping pong with my family. That's a really funny one. One time I messed up completely in an audition for dance, for team thing, and I totally improvised the rest of the routine because I completely forgot it in the middle. I probably embarrassed myself many times. I'm not too easily embarrassed though. And the other question I haven't answered in here is, do you enjoy making videos? Yes, very much. I love making ASMR videos. Miss B, do you have another job? Okay, I already answered that. Oh, I've actually answered quite a few of these. Weird how the ones I answered like went to the bottom somehow. Okay. Carly Clark, would you ever tell us which US state you're from or lived in? You don't have to answer this one. No, I'm sorry, I won't share that. Some of you may have figured it out, but don't share if you have. Can you speak Italian? This is Nanny. No, I can't. You said you believe once mentioned that you have Italian relatives. I do, but none of us. Maybe my grandparents spoke a bit, and my great-grandparents did, but not my parent or any of us. Unfortunately. This question, I've got I love the sound of this thing. I know it's weird because it's deodorant, but it sounds so good. Carlotta, what is the thing you miss most from living in the US? Already answered. Do you ever plan on stopping ASMR in the near future? No, I don't. She said, I really hope not. That's really sweet. Thank you guys for continuing to watch my channel. It's been years and I don't have any plans of stopping. I really love it. What's next? Niyama R. I'm sorry if I'm not saying your name correctly. It's Niamh. What is your, and then the last R is the last name, first initial of the last name. What is your idea of a perfect day? Oh yeah, playing Settlers of Catan with my friends, like I said earlier, being with Nuggets, just small periods, to hug them, to cuddle them, to maybe read a book, but all day, and not like babysitting them all day. Being with my boyfriend, being with my parents, anyway, eating Mexican food, lots of ice cream, getting to dance, things like that. Those would all be included in the perfect day. Okay, this question is really funny. Zinat Mir, I'm curious about your job other than you being a marvelous dancer. That's very nice of you to think that about me, even though thank you. You've never seen me dance, but I appreciate that. Are you one of the people who are hired for the image building of America? Oh gosh, I'm sorry. That was really funny. No, I'm not hired to build the image of America. If anything, I probably... Anyway, might be the opposite. Anyway, that's a funny question. Okay, so I am a dancer though, and it's not my job though, although I have taught dance for a living for years in my past. That question was really funny. Okay, Egg Zachary, I love it. Egg Zachary? Yeah. How is your haircut growing out? That's another question, another video I made in my Not ASMR playlist. And if you're still watching this, thank you so much. I don't know what you're doing here. I really appreciate you and love you. This has been going on forever. I can't even imagine. If you're still here, I love you deeply. Deeply. Okay, how's your haircut growing out? It's actually to about like here now. It's a really bad haircut story. Hilarious. Check out that playlist of Not ASMR stories. Kristen, here's some fun random ones. Dogs or cats? Dogs, 100%. What kind of music do you listen to? I think I answered that. Least favorite ticket answered. Favorite movie, TV show? I've answered that. Okay. Collie's X edits. I'm late, but why did you move to Egypt? Okay, I already answered that in the first part 1. And random question, but name your top 10 actresses? Oh my gosh, I don't even know very many actresses. I really like what's her name from Pride and Prejudice. I can't remember her name. So that's how much I know about actresses. You know, her from that movie. If anyone knows the name, can you write it below? I can't remember. I really like her. Do you have any other favourite actresses? Nah, it's not really my thing, I guess. I'm so sorry. If I could think of any, I'll tell you though as I go here. Okay, next level. Ebenhardt asks, I know you've lived in many places, and I know that the US is not your favourite place. I just genuinely wonder why. The US isn't perfect by any stretch. Been wondering for a long time. Thank you for everything you do. You're amazing. I'm a teacher, by the way. That's awesome. You know, this is my personal experience. I find the US very boring in comparison to most of Middle Eastern or Asian countries. It's just like really funny the things that happen here to me. It's just a kind of bit more free-spirited, a bit more wild. Music, dancing, culture, food. People are just, I don't know, really, really warm. In comparison, I think I really just love getting to know other cultures and appreciating different cultures. I think when I live outside the US, I learn more about the world, and I think might be able to have a broader perspective of some things in life, of God, of people, of how similar we all really are, so I just appreciate it a lot. It's really, I don't know, very satisfying to me. Okay, Rachel Bugala. Have you ever had pets, or would you ever own any pets? I've had dogs, but they weren't mine. They were my family members, my parents. I've had 3 dogs in my life, and that's it, really. I prefer not to own pets on my own, but I do really care about animals a lot. I just don't really want to own any, but I really care about their well-being, maybe more than is healthy. It sometimes overwhelms me. Okay. Waverley Oak Libo. Hi Villa, did you know Arabic before living in Egypt? Yes, I think I shared that though, but I did study Arabic in college, and I studied a formal version of it. I answered this in the last question, in the last part 1 of this, if you want to hear more detail though. Wicked ASMR. What would you do if you couldn't fail? I love that question. Literally, what I'm doing right now is what I would do. And who knows if I'll fail or not, we'll see. I don't even care. I don't really consider it failure. But this is it. Okay. It's Anne. What are your favourite places in Europe? Oh, my favourite place. Well, my favourite place so far has been Italy. Really, really, really enjoyed Italy. I really liked Florence. I really liked parts of Switzerland where you could just see the grass and the like hills. It was just amazing. I really enjoyed Paris too, which, you know, a lot of people do. You can really see why now. It's really fun. Okay, Tia Rex, do you have a favourite animal? A dog. Dogs, puppies in particular. Okay, Inoki, it's Nnakji. Sorry, I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. What's your favourite song to dance to? Bringing Sexy Back by Justin Timberlake, 100%. And what's a song that as soon as you hear it makes you break out into dance? That's also one of them. There's so many. I can't even, I'll just stick to that as my answer for both. Let's see. Super Stelly, this is a really great question. Has there been any aspect of your life in Egypt that's made you question how that specific thing is done in the US? So many things. I'm gonna go with my number one though. A bidet. Using a bidet is life-changing. You'll never want to go back. A bidet is what you use to wash after using the restroom. Water you can use water to clean with like a hose or a kind of shoot up. Best thing ever. It's very disturbing when you go back to the US and realize we don't have that system in place. Let's see. I'm looking if I've already answered these questions. Let's see, that was answered. This just person close says hi. How? Also, okay, she already answered that question. But I've been with your channel since 25k, so I just wanted to say that's sweet that you've been with me from 25k. Wow. Alexander Vickman, do you renew your residency card every 3 months? It depends. I renew it sometimes every 3, sometimes every 6 months. But when you arrive, you actually just renew it after 1 month of having your tourist visa. So it's kind of complicated. Mike B, what is your creative process when looking for new ideas and objects for ASMR? Yeah, I just like see things when I'm walking about. I never do it intentionally. It's very rare that I intentionally come up with an idea. Sometimes I do have to sit and go like, okay, what am I going to do next? And like think. But usually it's just like while I'm in the shower, it just pops in my head because I saw something or I see a set of nails that make me think of something. So it's quite impromptu. It's not very like intentional. Okay. Lena Cosmo. Well, someone says Mayev. It's Mayev. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live? Currently, that would be Egypt for sure. Nikki Connie, are the twins yours? No, those are my best friend's children. They're little boys. They're 5 years old now. Truth Seeker 42. If ASMR was to be outlawed, how would you fill your time, replace it in your life? Blessings. Maybe performance dance, teaching dance. No, I don't like teaching dance. Maybe performing. Maybe I think it might be fun to do dance in TV and movies, audition for things like that. Or yeah, I think that would be probably the thing I would look into. Emily Davenport, could you do some cooking videos that include your favourite Egyptian foods? I could try that. Maybe my boyfriend and I could do some cooking for you guys. And will you do some more in-store videos, grocery stores, etc.? Yes, okay, yeah, I can do that. I've been kicked out of a few grocery stores, but I will try more. Let's see. So many of these have been answered, so forgive me if I pause for a moment. Oh, Joyous ASMR, do you have any signature scent perfume? No, I really don't have a signature scent perfume. I would like to though. I've never found one that I've liked, and I've never like paid a lot for a perfume. But I would like to try and do that. So forgive me if I'm not answering your questions at this point. It's because of the repeats. Okay. Wow, I think these are all answered, you guys. Advice. Okay, here we go. Boink ASMR, that's hilarious. Advice for airport essentials while traveling. Cough drops, band-aids just in case. Always have a water bottle, even though you have to empty it out before you go through security. Just fill it up on the plane. Drink constant water on the plane. Bring lots of snacks. Bring earbuds. Always ask right when you get on the plane for their earbuds, because yours don't always fit to watch movies. If you can do that, ask right away, otherwise you have to wait for the whole start of the plane and not be watching a movie. Wear layers because it can get really cold, so bring like heavy layers, so you can be really bundled up if you need to, and take them off if you need to. Those are some of my pieces of advice. Okay, let's see. Is there Mr. 2.0? Is there any YouTuber that inspires you? Ooh. Let me think. You know, I got really inspired when the Try Guys did their they did like a live show that was their show called what's it called? The cooking show. I can't remember the name right now, but it's my favorite thing. It's a competition they do. Anyway, the Try Guys did a live show, and that really was inspiring to me to see how they all worked together behind the scenes and stuff. I was really like, wow, what a team. They're amazing the way they all work together. There's probably some others that I'm not really thinking of at the moment. Nothing comes to me though. There's some dance channels I like, but not really like inspire. Okay, let's see, any others. Laura of the Valley, I've noticed that you don't have strictly mic scratching videos. Is that because you don't care for mic scratching ASMR? No, you should try that. I just haven't done it. I should try it. Okay. ZYMX also asks, do you want or have plans to make any new merch? I don't, but to be totally honest, my ex-husband helped me with that website and I don't know what to do. So I should probably figure out if I want to do more of that. At this time, I don't really have the time or ability, but I would like to. I just need to get on the website and figure out how to do it, because I sat next to him when we did it and we did it together. And so I need to figure that out. So what's your favorite thing to tap on? Ooh, anything like plastic and high-pitched like this. I love that sound. But I really love like donuts and candy and stuff too. Okay, I'm just looking. We're really almost at the end, you guys. Your favorite movie? Something creative. Ask your favorite movie. Which movie is a must watch for you? I may have already answered this, but Chevy Chase's Christmas Vacation. Really funny movie. Old movie, but you should watch it. I really like the movie called The Village. I'm pretty sure I already answered that, but that's on the completely opposite end of the spectrum. It's like a slightly horror film. Not really horror, it's more of a thriller. ASMR Dazzle, sorry. What was the most ridiculous comment you've ever received on a video? Oh, such a good question. I wish this wasn't like towards the end, because it's very good and I wish I had an answer. Oh boy. I can tell you the most ridiculous email I've ever received. That might be more funny. I'm going to let the people just shout in the background at this point. You've been with me for so long, I don't even... there's probably like 10 of you still with me right now. I received an entire email after putting out my maybe first or second video and it was like this long paragraph of a person cussing me out, telling me what a terrible person I was for putting out a video of tapping on stuff. It was long, thought out, and really, really mean. Hilarious. Talk about ridiculous. I put 2 videos out, and this person took like the time to write this. Let's see. Who's your favorite America's Next Top Model contestant? Oh, you know what? I've watched it many times in the past, but I can't remember. I can't even remember anything about it. I'm so sorry. You guys, we're at the end here. Nikki Coney, are you and your boyfriend serious? Oh my goodness, I sound so creepy. Yes, it's very serious. Let's see, Natalie, Nielk, Milk. Did you ever consider quitting YouTube? Because I've never seen someone who's this consistent with putting out amazing content. That's really sweet, Natalie. Thank you. And no, I've never considered quitting, ever since I started. Okay, that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, this has to be one. I have to give a really good emoji to put in the comments or something so that I know that you made it to the end. Okay, what are we gonna do here? All right, do me a favor. If you made it to the end, spell your name backwards in the comments and then put your favorite emoji right next to it. If you don't want to share your name, spell like your favorite word backwards or your favorite name backwards and then put your favorite emoji next to it. There's gonna be like 3 of you guys, I bet. Thank you guys so much for watching. I feel like doing a weird dance for you guys because you made it to the end, and I feel so tired because I've been filming for so long. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. You are the only ones that get to see my dance. You're the only ones. Okay?